Hello, the old Bucks are back. I'm Dave.
I'm Dale, the younger one.
The younger one. Anyway, welcome to episode 5. We're going to talk about some different things today. I've got a little Mexican plate story that you might find interesting. Dale's going to talk about the funniest thing that he's ever read. And I'm going to do on Culture Club, we're going to talk about perception versus reality and the implications of that, and we'll give you a real-life example of that. And what are we going to do? Then we're going to go to Letters From Afar. We've got another couple of mail sacks full of letters here, and we've picked out the best to share with you. And then for the 5th time in a row, Dill will try to explain Loser Lotto in a way that makes any sense whatsoever.
You're going to lose.
I think it's a lost
Don't
cause.
play.
Anyway, the dreaded Mexican plate. Now, we've got this Mexican plate. It's 16 inches in diameter. It's a nice plate. And it's got it's a painting. It's a hand painting. You can see it's all hand painted, and then it's glazed over. It's red peppers with the green leaves. It's pretty.
Okay, let me be clear. This plate is like a porcelain dinner plate that's been painted.
Well, I thought it was porcelain.
Okay.
So if you look at the plate, the back side, the plate itself is it's got a rough texture, so it had not been maybe hard fired. But the top is very shiny. Okay, so it looks like that they have put a clear coat over this hand painted.
Okay. And these are decorative things. They're designed to be hung up someplace?
Well, we've used it. It's been a fruit bowl for a while.
Oh.
It's been, then we last place we lived, we hung it in the kitchen as kind of a decorative thing on the kitchen. It's pretty.
So
we always talk, there's our hand painted Mexican plate.
But there must be something special about this plate that you would even think about it.
Yeah, it got.
I mean, we're having coffee. Out of the blue here. Where is it?
Recently got a lot less special.
Okay.
For this reason. Okay, so my wife has gotten into planting a lot of flowers and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And so she's got all these different colored flowers and bought lots of flower pots. Now she needed to catch the drainage from the flower pot as it's sitting out in the porch here. So she said, well, okay, we've had this plate for a long time. Let's use it. Let's put it to another use. We'll make it to catch the water in the flower pot.
Like you're going to, so it acts as a little basin.
It's a little basin. There you go.
I've got the same issue with the, apparently that's a very common procedure. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you don't want the water to dribble all over everybody.
On your rug.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, then
you know where we are out there, good people.
Where we are, okay. And if recently we had the hurricane came through here. Was that Ada?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't really a hurricane by the time it got here. It was a tropical storm, but dropped a lot of water on us. I think we had 5 or 6 inches of water overnight. Mm-hmm. And there are all her plants out there. Got a good drenching. A couple days later, I go out. Well, she called me out and she said, my plate is dissolving. I said, what do you mean it's dissolving? So we picked up the flower pot, picked up the plate. Half of the plate had dissolved, and it's now stuck to the floor on the porch.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So I thought, geez, that's weird. This thing wasn't even fired, it looks like. So I picked the plate up, and it kind of folds in half. Not only does it fold in half, the painting comes off of the top of it. It was not hand painted. This was a piece of vinyl wallpaper that was glued to a piece of plaster. The plaster dissolved in the rain. Nothing to hold the wallpaper together. The wallpaper collapses in my hand.
So this is one of those things where I wished I'd have thought of that. So you could get a piece of wallpaper, and actually you could get a lot of designs on wallpaper. And all you got to do is cover it up, put some shellac on it, and pawn it off as a plate.
There you go.
A hand-painted plate.
Yeah. So there's, no offense to Mexico here. I was just.
Where'd you get that? Where did you get it?
We've had it for 1,000 years. I don't know where we got it, but it's gone from house to house with us, and now it's in the trash, unfortunately.
So
that's
all those years you thought you had a
we
Picasso
thought
and it wasn't.
we had a Mexican Picasso hand painted. Isn't it pretty? We'd point it out there. Look at this pretty paint. You know, I was telling this is the sad part. I was telling my son this story the other day. He said, "Oh, I saw the same one in Target the other day." So there it is.
So that's how they do it. You just get a little plaster and cover with some wallpaper, put a little shiny surface on it, and pawn it off as a hand painted genuine. Whatever.
Yeah, it just didn't seem fair. I've been lied to all these years.
But if it was still on your wall, if you'd put it in the garage,
oh yeah, it'd be fine.
It'd still be there
we
fine.
could
We'd be
still talk
commenting.
about it. We could still be deluded that it was real.
There's a lot of things that end up like that. I'm thinking of things that you had an intention for it, and for some reason one day you decided to use it for something else, like maybe you were decided to paint, and you were in your good shoes, and then very shortly after that they become painting shoes. Where you go out and
I got a lot of painting shoes, painting shorts.
Yeah, with your
painting
expensive
shirts.
sneakers out in the mud, and all of a sudden they become work clothes.
All right. Okay, well, I guess that's enough picking on the Mexican plate. Let's talk about.
That was semi-interesting, that.
It was semi at best, apparently.
So we're going to apologize to everybody in Riyadh and Israel and anybody else that may listen to that.
Yeah. So let's talk about funny stuff. You mentioned that you wanted to mention the funniest thing you've ever read.
Okay.
What is that? Tell us about it.
Okay, let me clarify that. I'm saying the funniest thing you ever read, meaning that you read something that was so funny that it stuck with you for whatever reason. It could be an article, it could have been an essay, it could have been a book, it could have been something that it just always hung with you for a number of years. And we got enough years on us that this thing has stuck with me for years. I'm not talking about something you saw, because there's funny stuff out there all the time.
You're talking about something you read.
Something you read that stayed with you, not a skit on television, because there's, basically, I'll give you an example. Some of the humor in I Love Lucy or Friends or one of those sitcoms, a lot of that humor is just the variation of a theme. But this was an original funny piece. I'm going to tell you what it was shortly, but I'm asking.
Shortly?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
I'm getting older here.
But anybody listening, think about that. If you're listening, is there a piece? I'm asking you. Is there a piece that you have in your mind that you can remember? Say, that was funny and it's been with me forever. It's just funny.
I have a few things like that. Yeah, I do.
What was it? Tell me
what was it?
Can't remember.
I thought this was your gig.
It is. I'm going to tell you what mine was.
Well,
but
I've read some David Sedaris stuff that I thought was just crazy funny. Dave Barry, same way.
Oh, Dave Barry. I remember Dave Barry. He writes them. And this was original, and it was whatever story that he came up with, no matter how long it was, it had enough that stayed with you. That's what I'm saying. It just, all these years, you can remember it clearly.
It's still there.
All right. So I'm leading you now to the one that I thought was the most original.
Put a lot of leader out.
Yeah, a lot of leader.
A lot of leader. Let's start reeling it in, baby.
Okay, so this is a story that I read many, many years ago, and it has street cred. If you know what I mean by that. If you can Google this, and I Googled it just to make sure of the authorship, and wouldn't you know, there was an NPR. Ooh, we allowed to mention NPR? I guess we could.
Why not?
Yeah,
sure.
NPR.
Everybody likes NPR.
They did an interview on this thing. This is a story called "The Law of the Jungle," and it was written by Henry Beard and John, I think it's Weidman, Weidman. How would you pronounce that? Weidman?
Weidman sounds good. Sure.
Weidman. Henry Beard and John Weidman. It was called "The Law of the Jungle." It was an article, a story that appeared in National Lampoon back in the 70s, and it was in the animal issue. Now, the reason I picked this, the reason I say this, because I never read anything that was so original.
You read this a long time ago.
I actually read a little bit of it. There was some blurbs on it on the internet. You can look this up. And I remember this. It had me laughing. I mean, I was just hysterical laughing at this, that somebody thought of this, that these guys could put this together in such a way in a legal form. For example, the alligator sued the crocodile in the Supreme Court of the Law of the Jungle, in the law, and they wrote this as if it was a legal brief. The alligator sued the alligator. It's still funny today. The alligator sued the crocodile for patent infringement. He said
I'm
the
lost.
alligator
I'm
said
lost.
the alligator had patented the long snout and the scaly skin and it just was incredible. And then there was a case where a seagull had picked up a clam and removed the clam from the water and dropped it on dry in the land, and the clam sued the seagull. The clam sued the seagull for.
You're kind of setting a low bar here.
No, you got to read this.
I guess
it's all written. It's got Latin terms, and this thing to me was the most original, funny thing. And to this day, I can't imagine the minds. I got to give these guys all the credit in the world. I've never seen anything like it. No one's tried to copy it. I've never seen another article like this. It's called The Law of the Jungle. It's
Law
out
of
there.
the Jungle.
It's on the internet.
Okay.
It was an old National Lampoon article. And I'm telling you, if people don't laugh when they read that, of course, some of them probably weren't even born then, I suppose, or they were too young to know this. But if they're not laughing, this to me was the funniest thing I ever read, and it stuck with me. I've read funny stories, I've laughed at things, but nothing is just funny.
You know, this is what makes a horse race. You know, you pay your money, you take your chance. I mean,
I'm right here, Dave. I'm 100% correct. It's the funniest thing. It's the funniest.
All right, I'm gonna have to believe you on that. I'm gonna have to read this.
You probably won't look it up.
But you know, that reminds me of an idea here. Letters from Afar. Why don't you folks are invited to send in the funniest thing you've ever read.
Yeah.
And
maybe
if you get on the air, of course, you get to be inducted into the society.
Right. The citizens.
Citizens requiring.
No, citizens.
Citizens.
You've only been a member a couple
citizens
days. Citizens revolving
around.
Citizens representing alternative positions.
Okay. All right. There it is.
So yeah. So anyhow, that's the funniest thing I've ever read that stayed with me has been The Law of the Jungle by those guys. It's a great story. It's funny.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So check that out, folks.
I expect Ed McMahon would have said, "How funny is it?"
How funny is it?
Okay, moving right along, ladies and gentlemen. Where are we at?
We're kind of staggering into Culture Club here.
Okay, go.
And I'm going to talk about a little bit about an essay I wrote a couple of years ago. I'm not going to read the essay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, but you know, it's dealing with perception and reality. Let me just talk about it. This was a line in a story that I read. This was in a James Salter story. And this is a line that stuck with me, and I use this as kind of a basis of this essay that I wrote. And it goes, "There is your life as you know it, and as others know it, perhaps incorrectly, but to which some importance must be attached." Think about that.
Read it. Say that again.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
This is your life as you know it, and as others know it, perhaps incorrectly, but to which some importance must be attached.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, where are you going to go with this? So I'm kind of, there's some tenuous linkages here, so just kind of hang with me. If you remember back in 2015,
I remember that.
The good old days. Yeah. Okay. The burning controversy on the internet that year was what color is the striped dress? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. It was blue versus silver?
Yeah,
or
some people saw it as black and blue. People saw it as gold and white. And then some other people saw other combinations. And it was, people were just vehemently arguing their positions. So who was right? Now, if you actually measured the wavelengths of the reflected light, the dress, it really was blue and black. Okay, but only 60% of the people got the correct answer, if you want to call that the correct answer. But the people were just vehemently defending their color scheme. Made no sense. BuzzFeed got 16 million hits in 6 hours on this. 16 million hits, 6 hours. I mean, we're talking existential crisis practically here.
And we're lucky if we get 6.
But I mean, my point was this was an excellent example of reality versus perception. Okay, so in reality, real reality, the dress was no color at all. Okay, there's no color out there. See, what we just see is a reflection of the wavelengths going into our eye, being processed in the retina, being processed in the brain, and everybody has a personal construct of reality. Everyone's different. And this is just one example of how that everyone's world is different. And so people have a tough time accepting the world that's different than the way they perceive it.
Okay, we've gone a long way since then.
Okay, let me give you an example of perception versus reality. Now I'm going to go back a little back further in time. This was back in 2007. Okay, I'm on a bike ride with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were riding in close formation. We probably weren't paying as much attention as we should have been.
Like a peloton?
It was like a peloton, yeah, except slower. Okay, it was like an old guy peloton.
Old guy peloton. Okay.
All right. So I heard and I was messing with my computer. It was acting up, so my head's down. I hear somebody yell. I look up. The guys in front of me are weaving. A guy had stepped out on the road in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're weaving. And he's got his back to us. So we're weaving to get around him. And I think, I'm just making it around. And he moves sideways. And we collided. All right.
You collided with him.
I collided with him. I was the unfortunate one that collided with him. Now, by accounts of the people that were with me, they rated me, the crash is like a 10 out of 10. They said it was spectacular. He went over the handlebars. Okay. Yeah.
You mean like if they were holding up signs judging you about how bad the accident was?
They thought they were being really funny when they were telling me this. Okay, I'm on the road, so I'm laying on the road. And I've got road rash. Ends of my fingers are all.
Is this the picture that you showed me one time with the red marks on your hip and all busted up and everything?
Yes, I was in the cast. Okay. Yeah, that was me. So I went skidding across the road. And immediately you want to jump up, say, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I jumped up, I immediately fell back down. Later, finding out because my kneecap was fractured. All right. So after that, I looked at my bloody hands, and I noticed my middle finger on my right hand was like now past the index finger. It had snapped at the joint.
I think I remembered you showed me a picture of that. You held that up.
Yeah. That was not good. Anyway, so they call the ambulance. Drop me in the ambulance, take me to the emergency room, and I'm bleeding like the whole left side of my body's shredded. My fingers are shredded. My elbow's shredded. The only place I'm not bleeding, like below the shoulder, is my right shoulder. Okay, because I was free, so that's my good spot. So they get me to the emergency room, and the guy explains to me, now I'm strapped onto the stretcher. They said we're gonna pull you out. You're gonna hear a clunk. That's the first set of wheels coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to hear the second clunk. That's the second set of wheels kicking out as we pull your head end of the stretcher out of the. Say, okay. So I'm lying there. There's a clunk. Waiting for the second clunk. No clunk, except I fall. The stretcher goes down.
They drop you.
The wheels did not kick out, all right? So the head end of the stretcher hits the bumper. I'm strapped onto this thing. The bumper.
That isn't funny.
Then I start going sideways, all right? And I roll off the bumper, smash onto the ground. Of course, where I hit my right shoulder. That was the only good spot. Now my right shoulder's all bleed. The stretcher's on top of me. Okay, now the guys look down at me, okay? The ambulance guy.
I'm picturing this. I'm picturing this clearly.
And here's what,
laying on the ground. They just dropped you.
Honest to God, this is what he said to me. He says, "Are you okay?" I mean, talk about perception versus reality.
Right.
I said, "No, I am not okay." I said, "Do I look okay?" So anyway,
that was a dumb question to ask.
Yeah, I like.
Hey, we're really sorry
what planet
about
are you on? So, So they take me in. I'm getting ministered and getting patched up here and there, and taking X-rays and finding broken bones and resetting my finger and blah blah blah. The ambulance guys keep coming in to the hospital, and he says, "Are you okay now?"
Oh, I know why he was.
Are you okay now? Yeah. I said, "Yeah, I'm okay."
And you handed them the card with the attorney's
so
name
they
on it.
so I said, "Okay, bye," and they sent me a bill for $500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're okay.
Do you ever, talking about that perception? You ever met your friend or someone you know in the emergency room or in the doctor's office? And it's like, "How you doing?" And you're going, "Hey, we're both in an emergency room.
How do you think I'm doing?
possibly
Yeah,
doing here?"
exactly.
Yeah,
How do you
we're
think
in
I'm
trouble.
doing? Yeah.
Well,
So that's a little bit of
perception
neuroscience for the day. Yeah.
But
And how the real world examples of it.
the science to that, I was watching. Of course, everything's on television today or on the internet. I was watching television, on public television, and it had to do with the brain and how they can trick your brain. And they started to talk about stuff like that. How they said the mind just does not see this color. You can put this color and that. They're showing you all these combinations.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you're thinking, holy smokes, no wonder nobody can figure these things out. It's like the reality is this, but your mind just will not process it that way. And if it does, did you ever look at those pictures that are just like a bunch of little black dots, and then you stare at it long enough, then you can see the depth in it? Can you do them?
I can do those. Yeah, I've got the trick. You've got to look past them.
I can do them too. I have ability. I can quickly sort of analyze that. Other people can stare at that all day and never see it. Anyhow. So that's reality versus perception. So the reality is we're two old bucks. The perception is we're very clever. The reality
sometimes very very clumsy. So
anyhow, moving right
along. I think we're going to slip right on to Letters From Afar here.
Okay, go, buddy.
So the first letter from afar, and again, thank you very much. This comes from Joel from Mayaca City. Mayaca City, one of the
big metropolis
here in
big
Florida.
Metropolis.
Yes. So he says, as I obviously have too much free time on my hands, I used the miracle of Google to search for uses of old Tidy Cat containers. Voila! And he's pasted in a link that's about
you could use
7 lines long.
Yeah, that you could use.
I mean, I'm befuddled at this whole Tidy Cat container thing. I'm further and further out on the edge of the distribution here on this thing. I can't believe it. So anyway, he gives us instructions on all these uses, and he goes on. He says this was fun and educational all at once, and he continues. And hey, thanks for introducing me to Alan Lightman's work. Keep on trucking, Joel. So
Joel really had an interest. What caught his or piqued his curiosity was your mention of the free Tidy Cat containers, and all of a sudden the various uses.
Yeah, I'm astounded.
I am a bit astounded myself.
I mean, we got a letter from another guy. I don't have time to read it here. They can only do so many, but he sent us instructions on how to use the big Tidy Cat,
like the 5-gallon jugs.
The big square, how to convert them into panniers for your bicycle. So, I mean, there's a whole, this is like a religion that's starting here.
And, back in the day, we would have never known those things unless we saw it in your neighborhood or somebody, that homeless person had it tacked to his bike, and you'd say, look at that, a very clever way to carry all your possessions. It's 2 Tidy Cat containers.
Now, I want to point out, now this is the third letter that Joel has sent us. Now
Joel, let's induct him.
Well, I think that's what he's going for. I think he's kind of jockeying for an induction into the society here. So shall we vote?
Joel, you are voted in.
All right, Joel, you got 2 thumbs up.
You are now a member of Citizens representing alternative positions.
Revolving around, I can never get it right. Anyway.
Representing alternative positions.
Okay.
So Joel's in.
There we go. I have another letter from afar.
Carry on.
Now, this is interesting. Comes from Thomas. Now, he signs the letter anonymous, okay? Yet, I got an email from him, so his real name is in the email. So he must have thought I'm not too smart. So, but
anyhow, we'll call him anonymous.
His name is either Thomas or Anonymous Thomas.
This is Anonymous Thomas.
Yeah, now it's a pretty long letter. I'm just going to read part of it.
Yeah, shorten it up there for us.
Dear old Bucks, some random thoughts. Ants. Great idea having them do the kitchen cleanup.
There you go.
Dell forgot to mention they are also a good source of protein.
Uh-huh.
So don't pick them off your sticky bun before you eat it.
Oh.
That's kind of good advice. I mean, have you ever you've eaten it? Well, I know you've eaten ants because you told me.
I ate them. I don't know how many was on there, but I ate the
I've
sticky
eaten
bun.
chocolate covered ants.
Most people won't do that.
They're just, they're crunchy. And then he talks about the ambitious Violet, the story that I read. He says, inspiring story. However, don't forget about those of us who have spent a lifetime striving for mediocrity. You got to like this guy.
I like him
I'm
already.
kind of warming up to him. He says, ambition isn't a gift granted to everyone. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, you're looking at one, right?
There we go.
You're looking at me. Right. I had no ambition.
Thomas, you've kind of labeled yourself here.
I mean, I believe nobody should get a serious job until they're at least 55.
And you are living
And
proof.
I'm living proof.
Make that 55 or later.
I'm telling you, if you can get by on your good looks till you're 25, you're good to go.
Oh, man. Now he comments on Loser Lotto.
Confused
I
listener.
know you're going to be shocked. He says, not being a lotto player, some difficulty following the Loser Lotto explanation on choosing numbers.
Oh, jeez.
I
I don't know what to say. Well, all I know is when you hold the ticket up, it just says Lose Lotto. But we're going to change that.
Thomas,
remember, we're changing that to just Lotto. That's all it says on there.
And
Lotto,
then he gives
Lotto.
us some. Then this guy has really dug into our episodes. I'm impressed. Now Craigslist. He says, definitely do not take the free exam gloves. I mean that's definitely good advice. So
good advice.
And he's looking forward to future broadcasts, and he signs it anonymous, which is really Thomas.
I would say we should induct him.
We get two thumbs up.
I'm
okay.
telling you, he's
another
good citizen.
And he's from. I didn't tell you where he's from. He's from Cherokee, North Carolina. Cherokee Reservation, Cherokee, North Carolina. So
I think there's a North Cherokee and a South Cherokee.
I don't know.
Well, there's North Carolina and there's South Carolina, so I think that I'm pretty sure that's the way that goes. So anyhow,
okay. So that's Thomas. So the
welcome.
society's growing.
Welcome to the society, buddy. You are
welcome to have you, Thomas.
A member in good standing of citizens.
You and Joel in the same day. So
alternative positions.
I think we have time for one more letter here.
Do one more.
We're kind of bumping up.
And we're about you. I see you're giving me the signal. We ought to.
Okay. Now this one here, I've got one here from Evelyn Petrushka in Scott Haven, Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah. She says, "Dear Click and Clack." So,
click.
Evelyn. She may be old. She may be older than us. Anyway, she says, "I just bought a '99 Dodge, and I really like the car. The only problem is the rear seat is missing. I don't know how I missed that when I test drove the car one dark and stormy night. Can you tell me where I can get a back seat?"
You're making this up, Dave.
No. Listen.
We have great respect for Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, and they're our idols. So,
well, I mean,
you're making this one up. This one's completely. I can tell by you're looking at you.
All right, I did make that one up. I'm sorry.
Still trying to get
I'm
rid
sorry,
of it. That's because you went ahead and collected that '69 Dodge
I
back
got the
seat.
back
Now
seat.
you got the back seat.
Now I got to do something with it. I'm trying to
somewhere.
give it to Evelyn. Yeah.
Get out of here.
But I agree with you. Hats off to Click and Clack. They really are our heroes. If we can be 1% as good as they are someday,
the Tappet brothers,
then we will have lived good lives. So again, I apologize that. So Evelyn,
there is no.
Since you're not a real person.
Since you're
not a real person.
Apologize to all the listeners for making that one up.
All right.
So where are we? We're about ready to close.
I think we're right around
Loser
Lotto time. So okay, this is where I kind of
Loser Lotto time. Let me get my Loser Lotto ticket out, and I'm pretty sure. Let's see. We're gonna change the format on Loser Lotto. we're just going to have Lotto.
Are we going to make it more complex? Is that?
Now we're going to make it simpler. We're just going to use the L, O, T, T, and O. And I started my ticket with on the first panel with 4, and then it's 4, 11, 18, 25, 26, and 27. No way that would ever hit.
No,
there's no way.
That's a loser.
And then O, we're going to go with 12, 18, 20, 25, 27, and 33. And you know, there's no way that the numbers would come up and make an O. So Lotto. So you're just going to use letters. So when you hold your ticket up, if you're a player in a country that has Lotto, and
I mean, let's face it.
Yeah,
some of these,
the guy in
it's
Riyadh,
going to be hard. It's going
one.
to be hard for the guy in Morocco to play this game.
Right, and I don't. So when you hold your ticket up, it's just going to say Lotto, and then you just move your letters around each ticket until you cover the board. And I'm thinking if everybody does this, somehow we're going to start getting letters saying, "Look, this system works. I'm hitting on the T's. I'm hitting on the O's." You know what I mean?
I hope Joel and Thomas. I hope and
okay,
and
guys,
Rick
remember.
Even,
Go get yourself
to this.
All right, go to your local store. Get yourself a Lotto ticket, and then when you fill the numbers in, you'll clearly be able to read the little black dots. Will say Lotto, and then play that number and smile when you give it to the person who's ringing it up, and you'll say, "I heard this on Two Old Bucks." And with that,
we bid you adieu again,
yes,
friends. I'm Dave, one of the Old Bucks.
I'm Dale.
All right. So long from the
Two
Old Bucks.